from your CV that you recently worked as a first assistant store manager at Aldi Nieuwekerk. Could you briefly tell me more about your responsibilities in that role?
Yeah, my main responsibilities were to manage the team, make sure everyone did their job according how they should be doing it, to keep track of the KPIs, a little bit of stock management, and also some bookkeeping.
Thank you for sharing that, Rick. In your CV, you mention experience with management. How have you applied this skill in previous positions, and how do you think it could be relevant for the supermarket manager role?
So the score is 85. Rick appears to be a strong fit for the supermarket manager role. Based on his experience and skills, he has direct experience as first store manager at Aldi Nieuwekerk, where he was responsible for managing a team, tracking KPIs, stock management and bookkeeping. A candidate applies for a job and within minutes they receive an AI call asking pre-screening questions tailored to their CV. After they respond, the conversation is transcribed and analyzed by AI, scored and reasoned inside your very own CRM and without any manual work on your part. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're in recruitment or HR, you know how much time it can cost to screen unqualified applicants over the phone. In today's day and age, you can automate that entire process. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up a pre-screening AI phone call that automatically contacts candidates, asks a few relevant questions based on their CV, and even scores their responses inside your very own CRM. By the end of this video, you'll have a powerful automation in place that saves you hours of work and ensures you only spend time on truly qualified applicants. Let's dive in and I'll show you how to set this up step by step. So to kick things off, I'm going to show you how my form looks like. And this is my form. It collects the forename, last name, phone, email, the role which the applicant wants to apply for, the CV and a GDPR consent. Now we can set up our voice agent inside vapi.ai. Head over to assistants, create a new assistant. I already have my assistant set up. First message: hello, this is Kelsey from Simpleflow. Am I speaking to first name? First name is in between square brackets because it is a dynamic variable, and I will show you later in this video how to set up the dynamic variables. We tell the agent what it is and what its goal is. I'll also make sure to drop this prompt inside the description so you can just take it and modify it to your own needs. Greet the applicant by his first name. The agent introduces itself and inform the applicant about what the call is. We give a quick overview of how the process works and ask if the applicant is all okay with that. After that, we're going into the personalized questions, which we will set up in make.com in a minute. These are also dynamic variables because obviously for every applicant the questions needs to be different. We summarize the conversation and let the applicant know the next steps. That's basically it. We also feed it the current time. I always recommend you to do this. And we give it some instructions on how to interact with the applicant. For the model, I have GPT-4o, which is working great. Temperature a bit on the lower side, not too low. 0.5 is fine with me. Transcriber DeepGram because it is a fast transcriber. English Nova to General, which works perfectly fine. For the voice, you can choose your own voice. I like 11 Labs because it has really high quality voices. This is all up to your own preferences. For the punctuation boundaries, I picked these punctuations because these are the most common punctuations. We have none of this. I don't like this. I didn't touch this. This is good on default. Functions, we don't have any functions except for the enable end call function. That means our agent can end the call. Advanced, we want to record the conversation so we can analyze it later. We wait 0.4 before the assistant starts speaking. Smart endpointing turned on. Number of words the customer has to say before the assistant will stop talking. I set it to 2. The seconds the customer has to speak before the assistant stops talking, 0.3. I'm going to set this to 0.4 so the agent don't think it's getting interrupted when there's a background sound or something like that. 1 second, 20 seconds silence timeout, which means if there's a silence for 20 seconds, the assistant will end the call so you don't run into high unexpected costs. Maximum duration 800 seconds or something like that is more than enough for us. We're coming to this later when we're setting it up in our make.com scenario, so don't worry a bit about this right now. We don't touch any of the analyzing because we're going to analyze it in make.com later. Analyzing it in make.com gives us more flexibility to analyze. Alright, now we have our FAPI assistant set up. Make sure to publish it. We can head over to make.com, create a new scenario. In the description I dropped 2 files, one of them being the blueprint for this automation. Click these 3 little dots down here, import blueprint, make the call .json, save. This is the scenario we're using to trigger our voice assistant to set up the questions and to actually make the call. I'm going to take you through the scenario and just follow along. The first module is our trigger module, which means that if this module receives data, the scenario starts running. So in my case it's Tally because I'm using Tally as a form provider, but it can also be a webhook. You can just replace it with your webhook. Connect it to your form here. After that, we're sending it to Cloud Convert to convert this document to a TXT file, which means we get the content of the document, so the text, which makes it easier to use it later in our scenario. Connect it to your account, or you can even use another converter provider such as pdf.co. It all works great, doesn't really matter. After that we get the file which we just converted. Then we're going to prepare our questions with OpenAI. I took GPT-4o here and we're telling it that it's an expert CV analyzer to extract the job title, the most recent one, the most recent company of the candidate, one important skill from the candidate, and the sector or industry where the candidate has the most experience in. Here we're prompting it to output it in JSON so it's easier to use later. Now here's where we prepare our questions, but as you can see these are not fully filled with color, which means variables are not existing. We have to unlink it here, save it once, and we need to run this P part of the scenario one time so our next modules know which data it can expect from OpenAI. So we're gonna turn the scheduling on, fill in our form real quick. As you can see it's running now. It's converting our CV to a TXT file, and now we can see that we have our CV here, and here we have our job title, first assistant store manager, Aldi, and the town, the village name, it's a Dutch name. Specific skill, management, industry is retail, and it's my own very own CV, so I know this information is right. So connect it again, set multiple variables. These are the questions which you can modify to your own needs, obviously. For example, I picked a question. I see from your CV that you recently worked as a job title at company. Could you briefly tell me more about your responsibilities in that role? In your CV you mentioned experience with specific skill. How have you applied this skill in previous positions, and how do you think it could be relevant for the new role? It looks like you have experience working in industry. What exactly do you like about industry sector. And as I told you, if the information is not available inside the CV, we prompt ChatGPT to output it as not applicable. So if one of these would not be available, one of these variables, you will get a pretty weird question. So in order to avoid that, we set up a router with a filter, and the condition is first question, so that's the variable, our first question, contains not applicable. If that's the case, then we're going to set first question to this question, and the same goes on for the other questions. I hope that's clear. After that, we're going to get the variables. So if it didn't went any of these routes, it would just take these variables. If it did go one of these routes, it will take the variable from the route. Okay, so now we're going to make a search to our CRM. In my case, I'm using Airtable because I like Airtable and it's good for demonstration purposes. So we're searching in our applicants table for someone with the same name provided in the form and someone with the same phone number also provided in the form, to see if this candidate is already in our database. And if he is not, total number of bundles is 0, which means we didn't have anyone in our database with that name and phone number. We create a new record, uploading all our data from the form to our database. And if he did exist, we retrieved one bundle, then we update the record. Okay, that's basically it for the question preparation. Now we're going into setting up our voice agent. Phone number ID you can find in VAPI if you already have your phone number set up. You're going to phone numbers, click copy, paste it in here. Now we're going to get the assistant. So we get all the data from the assistant we just created, and we need to replace the ID here with our assistant ID, and you can find that under, and we paste it behind the URL. We also need our API key to prove VAPI that it's really us trying to get the assistant, and you can find the API key under API keys. Copy the key, paste it in here, and that's it. If we run this module once, you can see that we get the JSON structure of our full assistant. You don't have to touch any of this. What you do have to touch is the dynamic variables module. In here you can set your dynamic variables, which I showed you with creating the assistant. So we had first name in square brackets, and in here under value, this is where you paste what you want it to be. So in my case, that's the forename provided in the form, the first question which we just made up, second question, the third question, and the role which the applicant applies for, and the current time. Okay, you don't have to touch any of this. We can jump straight into the HTTP module to make a request. And this request is a post request to VAPI to make the phone call. So we need to paste our API key once again, the phone number ID which we just pasted in the other module, phone number of the candidate which you can just map to this one, the name of the candidate, and the other things you don't have to touch. We're going to save it, and let's see if our scenario is working right now. Fill in our form. Our scenario is running, and here you go, I'm receiving a call. So that's working. We can jump into the analyzing part. Create a new scenario, and once again click more, import blueprint, and this is the other blueprint I've provided in the description. What we have here is a webhook to trigger our scenario. Search the database for the candidate, search the database for the job to get the job description. Here we get to the analyzing, and here we update the result in our database. For the webhook, you're going to create a new webhook. Click save, copy address to clipboard, back to vapi.com advanced, put your webhook URL in here. For client messages, we only select hang and end of call report. Click publish. Now we have to run it once, so our scenario knows what kind of data to expect. To unlink this, save it, turn the scheduling on, and fill out our form once again to trigger the call. I received the call and you can see our scenario run. Now our scenario knows what data to expect. Alright, connect it again and we search our database for the phone number. We check in our database if there's someone with the same phone number as we just called with Vapi. After that we get back the full candidate record. Then we will check for the job description. So we get back this is what we get back from this module, and we also uploaded the job applied for. So now we search for in our jobs database for the job with this name. After that we get the full job description back from this module, so we can prompt our AI to analyze the transcript and output the result in JSON. So the score, how well the candidate would fit into the job, and also the reasoning. And we output it like this. When that's all set and done, we can update our database with the reasoning and the score. I also provide the call recording in our database and the transcript to give the recruiter some more information. We have to run this once. I'm just going to paste in some fake data in here. Now we have the variables. Something went wrong, we need to map it again. So our score is this, the reasoning, the call recording we can find in our webhook module. There we have it, recording URL, the transcript. That's basically it. Now we have everything set up, so we're going to test our full workflow once again to see if everything is working correctly. We're filling out our form for the last time. Now we should receive the phone call. There it is.
Hello, this is Kelsey from Simple Flow. Am I speaking to Rick?
Speaking.
Hi Rick, I'm Kelsey, an AI voice agent calling on behalf of Simple Flow. We're conducting an initial chat to understand your background and aspirations and to see if you are qualified for the supermarket manager role. This call is being recorded for reviewing purposes. Is that okay with you, Rick?
Yeah, that's no problem at all.
Great, thank you. This call helps the recruiters to speed up the placement process. If we believe there is a fit after this call, a recruiter will contact you via email. Does this process sound good to you?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Wonderful. I see from your CV that you recently worked as a first assistant store manager at Aldi Nieuwekerk. Could you briefly tell me more about your responsibilities in that role?
Yeah, my main responsibilities were to manage the team, make sure everyone did their job according how they should be doing it, to keep track of the KPIs, a little bit of stock management and also some bookkeeping.
Thank you for sharing that, Rick. In your CV, you mention experience with management. How have you applied this skill in previous positions, and how do you think it could be relevant for the supermarket manager role?
Well, I've already been a supermarket manager once, so I've quite a bit of experience in managing, and I don't think it will be different with my new role.
That's helpful to know. It looks like you have experience working in retail. What exactly do you like about the retail sector?
I'm really a people's person, so I like working with people and managing them, and of course also the customers inside the store. Yeah, I really like it.
Thank you for sharing that, Rick. A recruiter will review your application and contact you via email to discuss the next steps. Is there anything else you'd like to ask or add before we finish?
No, thank you.
You're welcome, Rick. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye. Now we check inside our Airtable. We wait for a few seconds and we should see the reasoning and the score pop in. There it is. So the score is 85. Rick appears to be a strong fit for the supermarket manager role. Based on his experience and skills, he has direct experience as first store manager at Aldi Nieuwburg, where he was responsible for managing a team, tracking KPIs, stock management and bookkeeping, which aligns well with the operational and financial management aspects of the job. Additionally, he mentioned having been a supermarket manager before, which suggests he has relevant leadership experience. His emphasis on being a people's person and enjoying working with both employees and customers indicates a strong service orientation, which is crucial for the role. However, there were some minor communication issues. Rick didn't give in-depth answers to the questions. Overall, Rick would be a strong fit. 85 score. And that's it. You just built an AI powered pre-screening system that automatically calls candidates, asks relevant questions, analyzes their responses and stores the results in your very own CRM. This setup not only saves you hours of work but also helps you make data-driven hiring decisions. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more automation and AI tutorials that can streamline your HR workflows. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next time, and as always, thanks for watching.